Yes, your boy Crypto Blood, and welcome to another My 2 Cents video. Today we got some non-crypto related news I want to cover, and it's crazy because we all know there are bubbles popping. We mostly focus on what's going on in the treasury market, what's going on in the equities market, and kind of now we're seeing the slowdown in the real estate market, but no one is talking about what this crisis, this COVID-19 pandemic is doing to the college bubble situation. It's long overdue to pop, and I've got a few articles I want to go over today with you guys, and why I think the Fed is just they can't do anything. They can't plug all the holes. We're starting to dig a hole, and I think more and more countries are going to start looking at what we're doing. As they struggle, they're going to say, wait a minute, if we're struggling, so should the United States. They shouldn't be able to bail themselves out every day with new alphabet soup programs to print money over our problems. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to get into the details here in a second. But before we start, if you guys find these types of videos informative, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and click that bell to receive more videos like this. So again, welcome guys to another episode of My 2 Cents. We're going to do some non-crypto related coverage today. I think this is very important. I've been actually saving these lists of articles we're going to go through for the last week, because I'm just kind of seeing things happen, and I really want to highlight this for you guys, because this is yet another issue, another crisis we're going to have to deal with here in America. And ironically enough, I think yesterday we just found out that one of these schools that we're going to talk about actually reneged on their $10 million stimulus they signed up for, and I actually got. And I talked about this on, I think, one of my live streams, how small business owners like myself, we got nothing, at least this first round. How does, these mega corporations like Shake Shack, like Harvard, how do they get this money before the little people? And that's what this whole PPP thing was for, was to bridge the gap between now and when the economy gets back up and running. But I don't know, we'll take a look at that and a whole slew of other articles for today. But the main one I want to show you guys is this one about Harvard. And it's interesting because they got the $10 million. This is out of New York Post. As you guys can see, Harvard signed up for this PPP, emergency financial aid, and they actually received it. And the crazy thing about this whole situation, guys, is that Harvard has one of the biggest endowments. I think they have like a $40 billion endowment, and yet they were able to get this money. This just shows you how corrupt this system is, and this just shows you why. And normally I'm not even in the camp for this. I am normally not in the camp for government handouts and all that stuff, but I'm saying this go around, get it how you can, get it while you can. Take this money, because they've been bailing these guys out, these big corporations and companies that should have gone out of business for far too long, So all you small business owners, get out there and get this money while you can. They owe us. Just on the principle, they owe us. So this one, again, out of New York Post, talks about how Harvard has been granted and is accepting $8.7 million in federal aid, and only half of that must be reserved for emergency financial aid for students. Considering that in the fiscal year of 2019, Harvard spent $1.9 billion of its own endowment covering the gaps for students in need, and ended the year with a nearly $300 million surplus. And as I stated, Harvard, one of the wealthiest in the nation, with an endowment of $40 billion. Why are they even? This is criminal. And I've been more critical of Trump since this COVID-19 pandemic reached the borders of the United States. We really dropped the ball big time, from the CDC all the way up to Trump. Didn't take this seriously at first. He's doing a better job now. But I have to give him credit for calling out Harvard on this situation. He definitely called them out, and it looks like they're going to be giving this money back. But again, this article is from a few days ago, and it just kind of goes over the hypocrisy of this system. The article says, meanwhile, 22 million Americans are suddenly unemployed. That has been bumped up. I think The jobless claims this morning was another 4 point something million. So we're nearly at 27 million people unemployed. And it goes on to say that amid this devastation to the lower and middle class individuals, big businesses have availed themselves of money designated for small business programs, which hit its current $350 million cap 3 days ago. Anyone who missed out, and many did, due to this Small Business Administration website crashing, structural log jams, and dense amounts of paperwork required, need not apply anytime soon. The SBA is currently unable to accept new applicants for the PPP, which stands for the Paycheck Protection Program, based on available appropriations. Now, I will have to say really quickly that they've passed a new bill. They've doubled the amount. So I believe if you did fill out the form before, you don't have to fill it out again. They're going to pick up where they left off. And I believe that's going to, for those who haven't done it, I think you're going to be able to do that again this Sunday, most likely. At least that's what happened the first go around. The site went up on a Sunday evening. But at any rate, you know, this is what we're dealing with. Large chains like Ruth Chris got $20 million loan, $468 million in sales last year, approximately 5,600 employees. Potbelly, another one, $10 million loan. Insane. Shake Shack, we all know about that one. They're giving their money back as well. $10 million loan, $574 million in sales last year. 6,000 employees. This is not what this was for. And in addition to that, Shake Shack is funded or backed by VC money. All they have to do is go out there and sell some more shares. Raise capital in the capital markets, what used to be the capital markets. But no, they're trying to take money from the government. So it's good to see that I'm not giving them credit, because if no one would have pointed it out, they would have kept the money, in my opinion. But since they got the spotlight put on them, they kind of backtracked on that move. So I'm not applauding them for refunding the money. They should have never filled it out in the first place. And so, as I stated, Harvard is returning their money. This out of Zero Hedge yesterday says that Harvard announces they won't take the coronavirus funds. And it says after all that coming under pressure by President Trump, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, and Education Secretary Betsy DeVos, it won't take the corona stimulus funds after all, a reversal from their prior position that they would use the money set aside in the coronavirus stimulus for direct assistance to students. Bull crap. Harvard in a statement lied and said that there has been confusion in recent days about funds allocated to Harvard as part of the CARES Act. Harvard saying that these funds were automatically allocated to them and they did not apply for this support. That is some bull. That is a bunch of BS, people. I didn't know this, but it looks like over 80 publicly listed companies tapped the PPP. Well, damn, that's why all the money's gone. You got 80 publicly traded companies, and you know the bigger companies are going to take a larger portion. I'm not going to be able to get 10 million for my small businesses, but these big businesses, they're definitely going to get the max or near the max. It says, which is really a grant if used to pay wages, which not surprisingly ran out of funds just days after it launched. The most prominent public company to take funds was Shake Shack, which sparked backlash after receiving $10 million in PPP funds through JP Morgan. Oh, go figure. It then sold 3.4 million shares of stock, raising 130. This is what you should have been doing in the first place. You have the privilege and the opportunity to be a publicly traded company. Use that to your advantage. Instead of doing stock buybacks to try to boost the price of your stock, why don't you use it to sell some of your stock? It's going to dilute your price, but that's what capital markets are for. You can go to that, raise funds, and look, you raise a whole bunch more money than trying to take 10 million from people in businesses who actually need the funds. I mean, so here's a list of all these corporate companies, these public companies that got the money. J. Alexander's, 15 million, 10 million, of course, of that is grant money. I mean, look at all these companies. Potbellies, as I stated in the last article. U.S. Auto Parts Network. I mean, all these various companies taking money from what should be allocated to small businesses. And I believe that Steve Mnuchin changed some of the criteria for this second round where these bigger companies can't participate in it, which is good. Absolutely should be the case. And this article from CNBC talks about how the PPP was designed to help the nation's smallest mom and pop shops to keep employees on payroll and prevent mass layoffs across the country amid coronavirus pandemic. And statistics from the Small Business Administration last week showed that 4,400 of the approved loans exceeded $5 million. The size of the typical loan nationally was $206,000, according to the SBA report released on April 16th. The SBA awarded the 13% of the dollars went to construction industry. Professional, scientific, and technical services received 12.6%. Manufacturing received 11.6%. Healthcare received 11.6%. I would think healthcare should be up there. And food and services received 8.9. Food and services hit the hardest. They received the least amount, which is crazy. So I just want to kind of give you guys an update on the fraud that's going on in this country when it comes to helping small businesses. You know, they put a program together to help the small people out. The engine behind this economy are individuals like me that have small businesses. Yet they put a program out and they still can't get the money to them efficiently. It's easy. All this could be done through the IRS. And be honest with you, very easy. But what I really want to cover today is this coming financial crisis with colleges. As you guys know, a lot of students aren't in school right now, and they're trying to do this online thing, and that's fine. I think online should be adopted more. It's going to drive the cost down, as it should, but you've got colleges still trying to charge the same amount for online courses when they know the overhead is not the same. Out of Zero Hedge, it says that it's not the same. College students revolt against online classes and they sue for tuition reimbursements, as they should. Again, college students in revolt against their universities as the institutions have refused to budge on tuition reimbursements or reductions while offering subpar remote learning classes in online format only. Students at the University of Miami have filed a class action suit claiming they have paid for in-person courses at a higher rate with online instruction that aren't getting what they paid for this semester. But school administrations have remained aloof to student demands, giving schools are already losing tens of millions in campus and summer fees given the shutdown. Also, as a question of whether in-person instruction will even happen next fall is a huge unknown, potentially delivering a financial fatal blow to a number of already struggling schools. This one guy says, how long until colleges and universities are broke or capitulating on tuition? There is no way people are going to pay current prices for a bad online version. Totally agree. And honestly, this is this virus really can in some cases be a blessing in disguise, because it's going to help reallocate, hopefully, a lot of misused resources. Schools have been so overpriced for so many years, guys, that maybe we're right at that cusp. Maybe this virus is going to be that thing that resets it to where it really is a benefit in going to school, higher education. If the cost comes down 70%, then yeah, it's worth getting an undergrad. But not at this price, not at these prices. It's definitely not worth it. And this article out of Forbes details some of that. They say the effects of coronavirus on higher education have been profound. Students are taking their courses totally online. Dorms have shuttered, forcing many students to move home if that was an option. And the admissions process has been disrupted. All of this, along with economic downturn, has left colleges across the country on shaky financial footing. The shift to online instruction might seem easy to some, but it's less than simple. For many schools without a large online presence, that means that spending money with a vendor to build out the needed infrastructure to have all courses online, because most students and faculty aren't on campus anymore. Some schools have had to purchase laptops and other technology to help them in this transition. In addition to that, because students are leaving the campuses, many of them are likely to seek refunds on their room and board charges for the remainder of the academic year. Some students have already sued their colleges demanding the refunds. Some even want refunds for tuition. Cash-strapped colleges will have a hard time balancing a budget if they lose a massive amount of revenue they are relying on for this late academic year. So, I mean, like I said, this is good. We got to weed out all the inefficiencies in this market, in this economy. And colleges is a huge one. Colleges are huge. You can literally learn most of what you need online. The act of searching and doing research and finding out how to learn things yourself actually is a better way to learn. Of course, you got to make sure the sources are credible, but there's no reason in today's age of the internet where you can't learn at least 80% of what you need to be a proficient in almost any industry. Where you really learn is actually getting in there and working in those industries. That's when the education starts. That's when you actually begin to learn, when you're in the real world, facing real problems and coming up with real solutions for those problems, not this college stuff. So you guys let me know, do you think we're going to see a bailout package set up for the colleges? They're going to need it. There are going to be so many colleges going out of business through this whole situation. And it's just going to be interesting to see what happens from there. We've got so many unknowns in this coronavirus that this coronavirus has created. But again, most of the cases, I think, is a good thing. I think in totality, this coronavirus is actually a blessing in disguise. It's making us realize that China, how much we depend on China, the dependencies that need to come back toward the shores. We need to start making more things. We need to start having, our medical production of medications and stuff needs to come back home. A lot of things need to come back home, people. Like Trump or not, he's been preaching, make America great again and bring jobs back home and all this stuff. And literally, this is what the coronavirus is going to force. By force, this is going to happen. Because for many years, Democrats and Republicans have sold our souls to the East. So you guys let me know, what do you think is going to happen with this whole college thing? I just wanted to keep you guys up to date on what's going on here. As I stated before, it looks like Harvard did give that money back. And what does that mean for college debt? That's a whole nother situation. I think just like we're seeing with the workforce, these companies are realizing that I don't need all this office space. We can work just as effectively from home via Zoom and collaborating via different tools like Slack or whatever to get the job done. I think students, I should say, are going to realize that as well. So they're going to demand that why have all this overhead? Why go into all this debt when I could maybe go to Harvard? And they already have these available. I've been telling people for years, they're called MOOCs, massively online open courses. They've got them for all the Ivy League universities where you can go in, sit in a class for free and learn from the top professors in this world. These students are going to wake up after going through a few semesters, mandatory all online courses. They're not going to have to go through the whole move on campus, go into massive loads of debt to get an education. Education is critical. People need to learn. People need to advance their knowledge. I'm learning on a daily basis. So should you, but should it be at the cost of going into debt forever? I don't think so. Let me know your thoughts again in the comments below. This is the crisis that no one is talking about. This is the crisis that I think is going to take a lot of people by surprise, especially in the financial world. A lot of debt and stuff tied and leverage derivatives tied to the college complex. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And I'm out of here, people. Holla!